Hello, everyone. You know, it's a good thing to be a good Samaritan. I think we need more people, we need to encourage more people to go out and help others when they're in need, especially if it's a child. However, a word of caution, because in this book, being a good Samaritan comes at a horrifying, terrible price. And we're going to talk about all that right now. All right, so the book we're going to be talking about today is called The Nightmare Girl by Jonathan Janz. This one is a fun roller coaster ride that starts out innocently enough with a man doing something that almost anybody else would do under those circumstances and winds up being a literal nightmare for him and his family, and a battle of survival against the forces of evil, I guess you could say, as it were. But we have a family. We have the father, Joe. We have the wife, Michelle, and their little daughter, Lily. And Joe's a good guy. As a matter of fact, he might be good to a fault. He's a very honest man. He's a carpenter. He has his own business. He's a contractor. And he might be the only honest contractor in that whole state, or maybe in the whole country. He doesn't believe in underbidding just to add more money at the end. He's very honest with his clients. He lets them know right away that if something's going to be more expensive or whatever. And this kind of causes a conflict between him and his wife, Michelle, because he loses out on a lot of jobs from contractors that will undercut his price. And it makes for some financially difficult times sometimes, you know. But he's a very honest man. He's true to his morals. He's true to what he believes is right and wrong. And we get that right immediately from the beginning of the book. We understand the kind of person we're dealing with. So on a family trip, they stop at a gas station one day, and they notice that the car parked on the other side of the gas pumps is there's a little boy, little child in the back seat. There's his mother and his grandmother who's pumping the gas. Well, all of a sudden the mother starts abusing the boy. She starts hitting him over and over and over again because he won't stop screaming. And people are aghast. But of course, as most people would probably do, they just stand there watching and gawking, and somebody's taking, of course, a video on their phone. But Joe, he's not like that. That's not going to stand with him. So he goes over and he intervenes, and really, man, the story starts from there, and it picks up from there, and it stays on the accelerator all the way to the end, because these women give him hell. I mean, they claw at him. They try to gouge out his eyeballs. They try to kick him. In the nether regions down there, and they do everything. They just go wild when he tries to interfere. But of course, he has lots of witnesses. People have recorded it. Somebody called 911, and when the ladies leave with the kid, they curse him, both figuratively and literally. Curse Joe. The police investigate. Of course, the boy is taken away from the mother. And then things start ramping up even more, if you can believe it. The mother of the boy starts stalking Joe. She'll stand on his street outside of his home, just staring daggers into the house in full view of his family. The daughter and the grandmother of the boy, they'll come around in their vehicle and rev the engine and just keep circling around, doing it over and over again, trying to upset him, trying to get to him. Of course, he makes a police report, and he gets close throughout this book with the police chief. But there's nothing he can do, because it's not illegal to do any of the things they're doing. And it's just one of those things where it's directed at him. He knows that they're doing it just to get back at him. Because as far as they're concerned, he's the one that had their child taken away, and they are not having it. But then other things start happening, but he can't prove it. even though it's obvious who's doing these things, he can't prove it. And one fateful night, the mother of the child grabs a gas can, stands outside of her house, douses herself in gasoline, and lights herself on fire. It's very horrific, that section of the book. And of course, it might be easy to think, well, she was already kind of a psychotic. She was already on edge. Apparently, this is a house the cops have been to before. There are drugs involved in there and everything. And so it could have just been the grief of the loss of her son, mixed with some drug use and maybe some mental issues that maybe caused her to finally snap and do that. And the boy's grandmother, this lady's mother, is now hell-bent on making Joe pay for what she considers is all his fault, taking no responsibility whatsoever for the circumstances. Now, if that was it right there, it would still be a pretty damn good story, I think. But it is not. Because as the book progresses, and Joe's trying to figure out a way to get this woman off his back, and he's also concerned about what's going to happen with the boy, since the boy was put into a foster home, things start coming to light between the police officer who slowly starts, or the police captain that he befriends who slowly starts giving up his secrets about things he knows from the past, to an older couple he does some work for, some carpentry and homework. They lived there a long time, and they reveal some things, and come to find out these women were a part of a cult. And this cult is worldwide. They are very, very psychotic, very, very dangerous. And the rituals they perform actually work. And now they are all targeting Joe. So it's not just this old lady against Joe. It's this whole cult coming after Joe. But they don't just come after Joe. Oh, no. This cult will come after everybody Joe loves. They'll come after his family. They'll come after anybody he befriends. They'll come after anybody he has done something for. If they have anything positive to say about him, this cult will come after them, trying to destroy everything in Joe's life until ultimately they can come and kill the man himself. But of course, since there's no proof of this, there's really not much the police can do. And that's just the way it is. You know, a crazy cult story, sacrifices, rituals, things like that. But we find out some things about the past. We find out why this woman set herself on fire and how it might not have been just a psychotic break or anything like that. It might have a much higher purpose. And as the story progresses, Joe gets deeper and deeper. And you know this is coming to a head. You know that eventually him and the cult are going to meet. And boy, when it does, it takes a very wicked, very terrifying turn for everyone involved. Like I said, it's a bloodbath. There's a lot of blood and gore in this book. And it's all told with relish by the author, who's happy to provide us with the words that provide us with the images that will give you nightmares after you're done reading. So thank you for that. But seriously, everything is used in this last part of the book. I mean, there are swords, there are machetes, there are knives, there are guns, there are fireplace pokers, there are shards of glass. Each of them being an instrument of destruction in one way or another to some person or another. And at one point, there's even a swinging sex chair that is used as an instrument of torture and ritualistic, satanic cult stuff. A swinging sex chair. And I got to tell you this, the regular use for a swinging sex chair is good enough. But when you add it to a horror book and make it into this kind of thing, thumbs up. It makes it even better. It makes the whole thing even better. So this is really about a book about a man who's, and you love this man. I love Joe. I love the family. But there's also talk that his daughter might be cursed. And even if the cult can't win, even if they can't get to him, he's already lost. Because eventually they tell him his daughter's going to grow up and she's going to be just like them because she is cursed. They have cursed her in a certain way. So he's going to mental torture, emotional torture, and oh my God, he goes through a lot of physical torture. You never know if he's going to live or die because he goes through so much. And there were a couple instances there where I held my breath and I was like, oh, I thought he'd make it to the end, but now I don't know. So does he or doesn't he? Well, you're going to have to read the book to find out, but you'll have a lot of fun finding that out because it's a fantastic book, very fast-paced. From beginning to end, you're captivated, you're motivated, or not motivated, but you're captivated, and you're rooting for Joe, you're rooting for his family, and you see all the evil things that are done to him, and you can't help but sympathize and just say, oh my God, I wish I was in that book so I could go over there and help him in some way. But yeah, if you ever think about being a good Samaritan, this book might make you think otherwise, even though we know he did the right thing by helping this child. But yeah, this is a great book. I loved it. And of course, I highly recommend it. Definitely pick it up. Called The Nightmare Girl. I'll leave a link down below to Amazon if you want to purchase it on there. I'll leave a link to my Twitter if you want to join me on the Twitter. I'd love to have you. And thank you, as always, for spending a little bit of your time with me. I really appreciate you guys watching. And until we meet again, keep reading spooky, my friends.